Lord Nrsimhadev is very significant in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line. So it's very relevant. We remember him. In fact, every day we're familiarly chanting. I need a screen share. Is that what you call it? Screen share? Share screen. Can you allow me square Sheen?
Yes, your co-host.
I'm a co-host. Okay. So I'm going to share screen now, if that's okay. I don't know if they're already seeing this or not.
Yes, Maharaj, we can see.
We can see. Okay, great. So Lord Nrsimhadev's appearance was a few weeks ago, but he appears whenever the need is there. We may say he appears on a particular day for a particular purpose, but whenever the similar purpose is there in our own hearts, any situation, Lord Nrsimhadev is there. Is the expansion form of the Lord for this purpose, particularly of protecting his devotees. In one sense, Sudarshan Chakra, Lord Nrsimhadev are comparable in that sense. They appear to remove anarthas from our heart, destroy obstacles on our path. Sometimes we see in special forms of the Lord that he appears and literally kills external obstacles in the form of Hiranyakashipu and so on. Generally speaking, we understand he appears whenever the devotee calls sincerely for him. He will appear to protect that devotee. And thus in ISKCON, Prabhupada established that we sing this pranams to Lord Nrsimhadev. And here we see this was actually uttered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this particular, of course we chant it every day, as you see, chanted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the temple of Lord Jagannath. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sometimes enter the temple of Lord Jagannath, there's one Lord Nrsimhadev deity there. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it describes how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sang this pranams to Lord Nrsimhadev when he was there. So I think most of you know this pranam. We sing it in temples, in homes, in different places, pretty much every day. So it's appropriate to start with this today before we try to endeavor to speak some Katha. Namaste Narasingaya.
Namaste Narasingaya.
Paladaladaye. Hiranya Kashipo Hakshaha.
Hiranya
Shilatanka Nakalaye.
Srilatanka Nakalaye.
Ito Nashingo Pada Dona Shingo. Tato Yato Yamitato Nashingo.
Yato Yato Yamitato Nashingo.
Bahe Nashingo Ridaye Nashingo.
Bahe Nashingo
Nisingham Madhim Sharanam Tapaye. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Avatara Kamala Padena Kamanta Shingam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Kano Brindam. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Navakara Kamala Varena Sringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Dhanuvinga Ishavarita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavarita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavarita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of half man, half lion, all glorious to you, just as one can easily crush a wasp between one's fingernails, so in the same way, the body of the wasp-like demon, Hiranyakashipu, has been ripped apart by the wonderful pointed nails on your beautiful lotus hands. I offer my most humble obeisances to Lord Nrsimhadev, who gives joy to Prahlad Maharaj, and whose nails are like chisels on the stone-like chest of the demon Hiranyakashipu. Lord Nrsimhadev is here and is also there. Wherever I go, Lord Nrsimhadev is there. He is the heart. He is in the heart and is outside as well. I fully surrender unto Lord Nrsimhadev, who is the origin of all things and is the supreme refuge. Oh, beautiful prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, how he is present wherever we are. And today we hope we'll enter into a little bit more remembrance of his significance and his presence in our lives, in his various moods. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sanyavadi Paschachade Satarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sanyavadi Paschachade Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Shri Nrsinga Jai Nrsinga Jai Jai Nrsinga Dev. Shri Nrsinga Jai Nrsinga Jai Jai Nrsinga Dev. Shri Nrsinga Jai Nrsinga Jai Jai Nrsinga Dev. Nrsinga Jai Nrsinga Jai Jai Nrsinga. Baladesh Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Baladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Baladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Baladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. All glories to Lord Nrsingadev. All glories to Lord Nrsingadev, who is the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, and like the honeybee, is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. That was also spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can see how important in Mahaprabhu's movement Lord Nrsingadev is. The Mahaprabhu has said that he would discuss, at least with devotees in general, primarily from Srimad Bhagavatam, he would discuss largely the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev, and of course, consequently, the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, etc. Very significant. We'll hear more about that in a little while, Krishna willing. And we've already sung this. Bhugam Viram Mahavishnam Dvalantam Savatomokam Shingam Vishanam Bhadram Mrityor Mrityam Namamyaham Bhugam Viram Mahavishnam Dvalantam Savatomokam Shingam Vishanam Bhadram Mrityor Mrityam Namamyaham. I bow down to Lord Nrsingadev, who is ferocious and heroic like Lord Vishnu. He is burning from every side. He is terrific, auspicious, and the death of death personified, or one who can overcome death. Vagishaya Savadane Lakshmir Yasya Chavakshasi Yasyaste Rahe Samvit Tam Nrsingham Maham Bhaje. Lord Nrsingadev is always assisted by Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and he is always embracing to his chest the goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi Devi. The Lord is always complete in knowledge within himself. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsingadev. Palada Vilayaladam Bhakta Vidya Vidaranam Sharadindu Ruching Vande Parindra Vadanam Harim. Let me offer my most humble respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsingadev, who is always enlightening Prahlad Maharaj within his heart, and who always kills the nescience that attacks the devotees. His mercy is distributed like moonshine, and his face is like that of a lion. Let me offer my most humble obeisances unto him. Again and again, these are from the commentaries of Sridhar Swami at the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Again, very significant that the authorized commentator on the Srimad Bhagavatam, right at the very beginning, beseeches Lord Nrsingadev for protection. Very important is even in our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, in our devotional service, in so many ways, Lord Nrsingadev is so significant in our lives. Ugra Pyanugra Evayam Sabhaktanam Keshari Keshari Vasapotanam Anyesham Ugra Vikramaha. Although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsingadeva is very, very soft and kind to devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. Again, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting the commentary of Sridhar Swami, in this case from the 7th canto of Bhagavatam. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Where are we now? I hope we're on the right one. So here is the, you could say, like a Bij mantra to Lord Nrsingadeva, very significant in our devotional lives, this prayer of Prahlad Maharaj. We don't find it in chapter 9 of the, chapter 8 or 9, whichever it is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We find this in the 7th canto, that is. We find this in the 5th canto. This is amongst the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsingadev when the residents of Jambudweep offer their prayers to the Supreme Lord, and they address the Lord in particular form, which to them is the worshipable form of the Lord, their Ishtadev. So in the case of the residents of Haridwarsh, where Prahlad Maharaj resides, they worship the Lord in the form of Nrsingadeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Narshingaya Namaste Tejase Avir Bhava Vajranaka Vajradangshra Karma Shayan Randaya Tamo Grasa Ong Swaha Abhayam Atmoni Bhuyashta Ong Shram. Very powerful mantra. Many devotees chant this daily. And why we chant it daily, besides the purificatory factor of chanting mantras from Shastra, and remembering Lord Nrsingadev, this particular prayer is very significant. In Srimad Bhagavatam, basically speaking, the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam focus primarily on what are known as Naimitika pastimes of the Lord. We'll hear about that a little bit later. So this is one of them. They appear occasionally for specific purposes. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsingadeva, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth, just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. Please appear in our hearts, drive away our ignorance which is covering each and every one of us, manifesting in various forms of behavior, philosophical conclusions, attachments, self-centered perspectives of Krishna consciousness, etc. And also many varieties of anarthas that arise on the path of attempted devotional service. So it's by his mercy, the devotee is praying here, Prahlad Maharaj is praying, by your mercy, please drive away this ignorance. And when ignorance is driven away, fearlessness comes in the struggle for existence. Just like Prahlad was fearless, even in the present. The whole universe was afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Only Prahlad Maharaj seemed to be fearless. And of course, this was a source of great distress for Hiranyakashipu. His own son was the only one who was basically challenging him, because he was fearless, because Lord Nrsingadev was protecting him at every step in his, even as a small boy. But in our struggle for existence in this material world, it's very hard to be fearless. There's just no end of causes of fear, because we're still influenced by ignorance. So it's Lord Nrsingadev who can drive away ignorance. Just like we approach the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, we go through 9 cantos. This is to gradually bring us to the point of completely taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his particular forms, who appear to remove various obstacles on our path of devotional service. So particularly Lord Nrsingadev. So the first thing, before we really talk about entry into the, you could say, our eternal relationship with the Lord, it's not that Lord Nrsingadev is not eternal, he is, but generally he opens the door to our eternal relationship, or let's say opens the door, but removes any obstacles on the path of entry into our eternal relationship with the Lord. And all the other various forms of the Lord who we hear about in the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam also play their specific parts, you could say. just like Dhruva Maharaj, who is a common thing to approach the Supreme Personality of God, desiring material returns. And that pastime of Dhruva Maharaj of Prishnigarbha and how he was freed of his purpose for approaching the Lord, etc., is also very significant. And I can't go through each and every form of the Lord, but they all have their particular purposes in our approach or in our revelation of our spiritual, eternal spiritual relationship with the Lord, or attracting us in a particular way to the Supreme Personality of God, its eternal service. And without going through this, it's like everything in life, we have to go through preliminaries, we have to go through preparations before we reach our objective goal. So without going through these stages, then it is not possible to enter into the eternal pastimes of the Lord in reality. We can hear about them, but we are just like spectators or just like passive hearers. But to enter into those pastimes, whatever they may be, as our eternal objective, one has to clear the heart. So this particular prayer of Prahlad Maharaj is a clearing prayer. It's to cleanse our hearts, especially. And the more it's offered with, in this case, respectful, reverential. The first 9 cantos are primarily emphasizing a more reverential aspect, but that prepares us for the 9th canto then to enter into spontaneity more so in our devotional service. So this prayer is to cleanse our hearts. Now it's very interesting. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 5 beautiful prayers in one of his texts called Sri Navadvip Bhavataranga for receiving the mercy of Lord Nrsingadev. These prayers are certainly assurance to all sincere devotees that the worship of Lord Nrsingadev is purely in the line of aspiring love and devotion to Shri Radha and Krishna. Sometimes devotees, due to ignorance, due to sentiment, due to whatever it may be, misunderstand and say that what has this got to do with us? We're on the path of Raganuga Bhakti. We're on the path of Manjari Bhava. We're on this path and that path, but we're not. We may be following those who are, and we certainly aspire to reach that particular point, but we're still on the path of sense gratification. We're still on the path of not so much anukul. We still have a little pratikul or unfavorable. Let's say some desires which are not really for Krishna still in our heart. So in order to remove those, anything separate from the Lord, anything displeasing to the Lord, Lord Nrsingadev, who is an expansion of the Lord himself, is the Lord himself, is very happy and very, let's say, keen to remove those obstacles on our path, be they philosophical or whatever they may be. So these are some of the prayers, and this is by our Acharya, Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is, of course, in the mood of Manjari Bhav. He's Kamala Manjari in spiritual realm. So we follow in his footsteps. So he's giving us the path which can lead us to our objective goal. As Nrsinghapali, some of you have been to Nrsinghapali in Navadvip. If you've been on Parikrama there, you may have visited this temple of Lord Nrsingadev, where at the time when Lord Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, it said that he came there after killing Hiranyakashipu to wash his hands, just like after a good meal or a good fight or whatever it may be, we may go to take a bath or wash or something or another. So he went there and he washed his hands. They were a little bloody, a little bit red, dirty, in the lake there. So now this temple is there to honor that holy place of Lord Nrsingadev. And it happens to be in Navadvip Dham. So there's the deity of Lord Nrsingadev there in that place, Nrsinghapali. And these are the prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I wish we could sing. I haven't practiced, but it's a beautiful offering of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Lord Nrsingadev. E dushta daye kamadi vipuchaya kutinati patishtasa satya sadarai vidaya sodanara krishnara vasam Nrsinga charane mora eto kaman. Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust, perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame, plus sheer cunning. At the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev, I hope that he will mercifully purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Lord Krishna. Kandya Nrsinghapade Magibo Kakan, Nirapade Navadvipe Jugala Bhajan, Vaya Vaya Paya Janra Darshane Se Hari, Prasana Hoibo Kabe More Dayakari. Weeping, I will beg at the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev for the benediction of worshipping Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, perfectly safe and free from all difficulties. When will this Lord Hari, whose terrible form strikes fear into fear itself, ever become pleased and show me his mercy? Yadyapi Vishanamurti Dushtajiva Prati Phaladade Krishna Bhakta Jane Bhadraati Kaviva Prasana Hoye Sakripa Vachane Nevaya Karibe Muda Ankinchani. Even though Lord Nrsingadev is terrifying toward the sinful souls, he offers great auspiciousness unto the devotees of Lord Krishna, headed by Prahlad Maharaj. When will he be pleased to speak words of compassion unto me, a worthless fool, and thereby make me fearless? Svachande Vaisohe Vatsa Shri Gauranga Dame Jugala Bhajana Ho Rati Ho Name Mama Bhakta Kripavale Vigna Jabedura Sura Chite Bhajo Radha Krishna Rasa Pura. He will say, dear child, sit down freely and live happily here in Sri Gauranga Dham. May you nicely worship the divine couple, and may you develop loving attachment for their holy names. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles are cast far away. With a purified heart, just perform the worship of Radha and Krishna, for such worship overflows with sweet nectar. Eboli kabe mora mastako para Sriya Shri Charana Harshi Daribe Ishvara Amani Jugala Preme Satvika Vikare Daraya Luti Bohami Shri Nrsinga Dware. Saying this, will that Lord delightfully place his own divine lotus feet upon my head? I will experience sublime love for the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, and undergo the ecstatic transformations called Satvika. Falling on the ground, I will roll about at the door of Sri Nrsinga's temple. These are some prayers. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Very, very special prayers. And what to say, they're very relevant to us. We can read also, I suppose I can come out now. We can read the Chaitanya Sikshamrita of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he discusses the relevance of various demons and how Krishna kills various demons, even in the 10th canto, to enter into the intimacy of relationship with Krishna. Demons have to be killed within our hearts, and they're very significant. I'm going to read something which is from, actually it's from Shivaram Swami in one of his literatures, one of his wonderful books. Here, yeah, this is a qualification to hear Krishna's pastimes. What qualifications we have and how we become qualified. This is, I can't give it, this is chapter 24. I'm not sure which book it's in. Anyway, it's in one of them. I'll try to find out later. Although pure faith qualifies devotees to hear Krishna's pastimes, there is a proper sequence to hearing that serious devotees are expected to know and follow. Spiritual life is systematic, never whimsical, even at the spontaneous stage. There's a proper sequence of topics that leads to hearing about Krishna's pastimes, and a proper way to hear the Leelas themselves. These pastimes also have two divisions, the eternal Nitya and the occasional Naimitika, and different grades of devotees are meant to hear them in different ways. The term occasional pastimes refers to a pastime such as Krishna's taking birth in Mathura, his appearing in different incarnations, his killing of demons in and outside of Vrindavan, and any other pastimes that occur only during his lila in the material world. There's no killing of demons in the spiritual world. There may be some fun up there. It's said that Yogamaya sometimes creates these pastimes, or the consciousness that demons are there, as I said there, and the mood is set of the fun, which is experienced, the intrigue. But there are no demons in the spiritual world, obviously. So when the Lord actually, when these pastimes take place in the material world, they're known as Naimitika pastimes. His killing of demons. So his eternal pastimes, so they're in the material world. The eternal pastimes refers to his tending of cows, playing with his friends, dancing with the gopis, delighting his parents, enjoying other pleasure and sports that take place during the day, the 8 pairs, the Astakaliya Lila, etc., in the spiritual world. It is necessary to hear both types of pastimes if one wishes to develop Krishna prema. We can't jump over. The occasional pastimes clear impediments from the heart, and the eternal pastimes enable devotees to taste the mellows of pure devotion, or at a stage maybe attract our attention. We need goals in our lives. Actually speaking, without goals, we cannot make progress. There has to be a goal. It's not just about cleansing the heart. That's not very exciting. It's not much to aspire for. Well, it's something, but it's not anything really positive. We may end up Mayavadis or just simply voidists or something. Now, that's not our goal. We're trying to awaken, praying, Krishna prema, love of God. So certainly we have to, as Prabhupada said that, like with the nectar devotion, we have to read, even if we don't understand it fully. We may not be qualified to enter into the majority of the topics concerned in the nectar devotion, but just by hearing them attentively or submissively, we become purified, and we know what our goal is at least. So like that. Until devotees reach the stage of ecstasy, they should especially hear and contemplate the significance of Krishna's occasional pastimes. Thakur Bhaktivinoda recommends the purposeful hearing of the occasional pastimes. Purposeful hearing. That's in the Sri Chaitanya Sikshamrita. And I don't have it, unfortunately. I'm in Paris, I'm not in New Mayapur. I just returned after 7 weeks traveling in the UK to France. So we're in Paris for 5 or 6 days. Tomorrow we return to New Mayapur. I don't have the book. I couldn't find it where I am, so I can't read it. But if you look in the concluding words of chapter 6 to the Chaitanya Sikshamrita and the concluding words to chapter 7, this instruction is good for both unsteady and steady devotees. For example, the occasional pastimes of Krishna's other incarnations, found in the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, guide devotees to better understand the challenges facing their spiritual lives. We find if we read carefully, in that Chaitanya Sikshamrita, we find Bhaktivinoda Thakur is also one by one analyzing each of the demons killed by Krishna in Krishna Lila and how they represent various anarthas. Well, Lord Nrsingadev himself, he's, let's say, the form of the Lord who comes to kill ignorance itself, to kill sense gratification. This propensity of sense gratification manifested as a personification, you could say, of just about every anartha you can think of around the Kashyapa. I don't know if there's an anartha which he's not expert at. Most expert, you see, Anartha Acharya. I don't know if any devotee has that name, Anartha Acharya Das. Hiranyakashipu is like a manifestation of perfection of all anarthas. Incredible. No one's so expert as he, but still, and he even thought about cunningness. I mean, we just heard cunningness, how Lord Nrsimhadev thwarted all of his endeavors to think that he could make himself immortal. No one can kill me. I am immortal. I am undefeatable. I am God. No matter how clever we think we are, Krishna is clever. This is one thing. Lord Nrsimhadev, without breaking any of the promises given by Lord Brahma, was and fulfilling all the requests of Hiranyakashipu, still Lord Nrsimhadev was able to kill him, rip him asunder. So we may, whatever attachments we may have, whatever pride we may have, Lord Nrsimhadev can rip them asunder if we're lucky. We may not want it. And if we're very fortunate, we get the blessings of devotees sometimes. And by the mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev, we may be cleansed. I'm just going to share screen again for a minute. When the heart becomes cleansed, naturally, one will be, what is this? Okay, next one. And again, Lord Prahlad Maharaj prays in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, a very beautiful prayer. Now, once one heart is cleansed, we can follow in the footstep, of course, of a pure soul, one whose heart is, the pure heart is basically, let's say the basic characteristic of a pure heart is pure compassion. Pure compassion being a very broad subject matter. It's not just for some suffering living entities in this world, which is of course part of it, but it goes much deeper, much deeper than that. It's compassion of realization. Compassion really means how to increase Krishna's pleasure. If only we could increase the pleasure of Krishna, the pleasure of Radharani, like that. So this is a beautiful prayer in that regards. Spastyas Dastu Vishvasya Kala Prasidatam Jayantu Bhutani Shivam Mitodiyam Manasya Badram Ajatadadhokshaje Aveshatam no Matye Yomituki. May there be good fortunes throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga, or by accepting devotional service. They will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of him. That's not my stomach, if you can hear something else. There's some gurgling in the background going on. Maybe it's Lord Nrsimhadev. He's starting to gurgle. He's getting hungry. Be careful. So, okay. Those are just some little preliminaries there of the importance of hearing Lord Nrsimhadev pastimes. Is understood that anyone who hears these pastimes of Lord Nrsimhadev is very, very fortunate. Let's see, it's a beautiful verse. It's a beautiful verse. I don't know if I can find it. I might have just removed it from my screen. Which describes the benefits of hearing the pastimes of Lord Nrsimhadeva. Now, anyone who hears this can awaken to pure love of Godhead. It's very significant. I'm sure you've been hearing many of these pastimes over the last few weeks, and specifically the having killed the demon Hiranyakashipu and all of his demon cohorts. Not just one, but many demons were also killed by Lord Nrsimhadev. They approached him in throngs of demons, attacking him, associates of Hiranyakashipu. And that we have to find in our devotional service. All the time, it's like anarthas are coming. And by taking shelter of Lord Nrsimhadev, they can be destroyed. And then naturally, our prayers, just like the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, notable prayers spoken by Prahlad, become much more and more relevant. And I realize I'll just read one prayer of Lorna Shingadeva. This is from I think it's from the section you suggested. I probably missed it. I wasn't aware that that was what we were going to be reading today or discussing today on Bhagavatam exactly. I knew it was something to do with Lorna Shingadeva Katha. So this is from the 7th canto, chapter 9. And here we find Prahlad Maharaj praying. This is text number 8. Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. He fixed his mind. Basically, we can only fix our mind when those anarthas are killed. And by hearing these temporary pastimes of the Lord, because we're living in a temporary world, the temporary coverings of the soul can be removed. So then our minds can be fixed on our goal. He fixed his sight upon Lord Nrsimhadev with full attention, in complete trance. With a fixed mind, he began to offer prayers in love with a faltering voice. Prayers with love. There's no selfish motivation, no material contamination in his prayers. Prahlad Maharaj prayed, how is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of asuras, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even unto now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all the saintly persons could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words. Although such persons are very qualified, being in the mode of goodness, then what is to be said of me? Prahlad says, I am not at all qualified. Well, of course, the mentality of a pure devotee feels himself not qualified. While the Lord wasn't fully satisfied, all the prayers of others, they were not with full love. There was always some fear, some material motivation, something or other mixed in there. Sakama Bhakta. Whereas Prahlad Nishkama Bhakta, he had no material aspiration, nothing to ask from the Lord. He was completely satisfied, and just with the opportunity to serve the Lord and his devotees. He didn't aspire for anything. You can do what you like with me. He was in this mood. Protect me or not, but you are always my worshipful Lord. He was always absorbed in hearing and chanting the holy name of his Lord. Of course, we normally say Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, whatever Prahlad Maharaj was chanting, but it was calling the names of the Lord, always absorbed, remembering. He was famous for his perfection through remembering, through offering prayers to the Lord like that, and to remembering the Lord, his most famous one who attained perfection. Let's see. Now, Prahlad Maharaj, through his prayers, he teaches us many important lessons, we could say, reminders of the humility of the surrendered soul. This is text 16. O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls, I have been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. So in this case, association. He's teaching us the necessity of favorable association. Atsat Sangatya, a Vaishnava Achara. That Lord Chaitanya said this is the characteristic of a Vaishnava. He avoids unwanted association. Association which is detrimental to our spiritual advancement. Now that doesn't just apply to physical contact with human beings. It refers to all varieties of asat sangha, illusory. Asat is the ignorance or illusion of this world. Anything which causes us to forget Krishna is asat. In the course of our daily lives, we have to come across so many incidents, so many different circumstances which naturally appear to be separated from devotional service to Krishna. Again, this remembrance of Lord Nrsimhadeva, taking shelter of Lord Nrsimhadeva, not in anger or anything, just for our own protection. The first prayer, as we heard earlier on, Om Namo Bhagavate Nrsimhaya, is to cleanse our own hearts, because we tend to see the world not so much even in material goodness, what to speak of transcendental goodness, but rather we see it through our own eyes or through our own condition, which may be affected by passion and ignorance. And we'll get into that now. But basically speaking, it's not a correct way of perceiving that which is going on around us. It's imperfect perception. We take shelter of Lord Nrsingadev to remove that imperfect perception so we don't get controlled by our normal conditional response to circumstances, but rather we begin to see things in relationship with Krishna. And seeing how this is the hand, the merciful hand of the Lord is working to cleanse our consciousness, our hearts, to cleanse anything which is independent or separated from the will or the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Nrsingadev purposely desires to protect the devotee in this way, not just the physical, but protect us from this illusion of misjudgment or maintaining our anartas or our particular tendencies, attitudes in the name of devotional service. It's a nice thing to think, don't worry, whatever we are, that's not our actual identity. This is just a temporary situation we're in. And it's not so much that body, even the mind's thoughts may come, but how we relate to them, how we relate to the situation we're in, how we see the situation we're in. And we see it in relationship to ourselves or Krishna, basically. So to see every situation we're in relationship to Krishna instead of ourselves. And here Prahlad is very afraid. He's not necessarily afraid, but he's teaching us. He's afraid. In one sense, you would say, yeah, afraid. The greatest fear, Ramananda Roy says, is to be devoid of the association of devotees. This is the most miserable situation. The greatest suffering is to be without the association of devotees. So naturally, the greatest danger is to be in the association of non-devotees. So he's saying, I'm afraid of my condition of life within the material world because he's born in that association. And we're exposed to it all the time with our modern social media. Maybe we go beyond necessity in that area. Maybe we delve into, associating with mundane activities in various forms, be it what it may, sport, music, politics, world events, social interactions, whatever it may be, mundane knowledge, so many different areas which often occupy our time and actually contaminate our consciousness. We need a certain amount for our daily lives, we need a certain amount for existence in this world, our occupation, and so on, but not more than required. Not more than required. That is our quota. We shouldn't take more than our quota. When will that moment come, he says, when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which is the ultimate goal for liberation from conditioned life. And when that time will come is when we haven't got our feet in the material world anymore. Vishaya Charya Sirase Majya Kebolo Hori Hori. Lochan Das Thakur sings, we want to get a taste for the holy name, Vishaya Charya. We have to become free of this desire for sense gratification. We have to become free of the Hiranyakashipu mentality or the Ravana mentality. They see everything as in relation with me, for my pleasure, whatever it may be. Even on the spiritual path, there's still that tendency is there, trying to enjoy the various aspects of, the environment, the association, the process of devotional service, and so on. It's not that we shouldn't be happy, that's natural, but that's not our motivation. We may be in the beginning, but it's not the pure motivation as much. So, when we call us to our shelter, when we have no longer a desire to enjoy separately from the Lord, then naturally the Lord will. Otherwise, why we're in this material world? Because we're incompatible. Our consciousness is incompatible to the spiritual world. We're compatible to in one sense, to the material world, not constitutionally, but in terms of our temporary, misuse of our independence. We're placed into this world where we see ourselves separated from the Lord, and we see the world as our field of enjoyment, or belonging to me, for us. This world belongs to us. This body belongs to me. I can do what I like with it. This is a modern philosophy of some unfortunate, ignorant souls. We think we can do what we like with this body. We're not, well, to a certain extent, but even materially, it's only limited. But the real point is this body belongs to Krishna, the world belongs to Krishna. We have to learn to use it in his service. And when that mentality starts to not just be there theoretically, but in reality, and we practically apply it in the process of devotional service by following in the footsteps of somebody who is freed, we can say, from material inebriety, then naturally our heart becomes Nivritatashir, Bhikhyamana, Bhavushiti, Chotamano, Gautama Shloka Gunana. But that, then naturally our attraction towards hearing the subject matter of Krishna Katha will be cleansed. When we hear it, will be pure, will awaken rather. When we hear the subject matters from those who are pure, those who are freed of all material attachments, etc., it has this effect of removing that bhava roga, or those knots within our heart, those illusions within our heart. Vishaya Charya Kave Shuddha Habe Mon Kave Hama Herabo Shri Vrindavanam. This beautiful song, Narottam Das Thakur, glorifying Lord Chaitanya. And if we want, through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, one can, of course, by his grace alone, one can enter into Golok Vrindavan or attain Krishna Prema. So by his mercy, but still, if one wants to enter into Vrindavan, Narottam Das Thakur sings, that we have to become freed. Vishaya Chiraka. That means freed of all desire for sense gratification. Sounds like a really tall order. You might say it is. It is a tall order, but the mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev, we can become freed of this attraction. It seems impossible sometimes. We're so conditioned to our upbringing, to our identities, to our accumulated desires and so on. And we need to want to do this, do that, experience this, experience that, finding our comfort zones and so on and so forth. And we're being egged on or urged on by others around us oftentimes, or being, creating doubts on the path of pure bhakti. So many things come along, compromises and what have you. So it seems like an almost impossible task, but by remembering Lord Chaitanya, by the mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev's protection, it becomes possible. Not just possible, Krishnadas Kaviraj says it becomes very easy if we're actually remembering Lord Chaitanya. Well, how easy it may sound. And what happens when one does develop a heart of compassion, as we heard in the second verse of Prahlad Maharaj in his prayers, and so on and so forth. It's also, Prahlad Maharaj says the same thing here. O best of, this is text 43 of his prayers. O best of the great personalities, I'm not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. It seems a little contradictory to the previous one where he was afraid of material association or bad association. But these are prayers, systematic prayers. And in this particular case, he's not afraid of material existence. Why? Because most people don't think that they're afraid either, although they're afraid of things within it. They don't see beyond it. So it's a relative experience for the conditioned soul of fear and shelter and so on. But there's no real shelter for the living entity. For one like Prahlad, for wherever I stay, I'm fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. By remembering the glories and activities of the Lord, one is protected. It's the point. If we remember all these mundane experiences and conditionings and attachments and so on, then we will not get that protection. We're under the material energy. And fear will be there. Fear of death, fear of loss, fear of being defamed, whatever it may be, will be haunting us, practically speaking. But the process is to become absorbed in thoughts of the glories, transforming our desire to see ourselves in the center, by glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead or hearing these pastimes, Lord Shingadeva, etc., then this fear will gradually subside. My concern is only for the fools and rascals. So when he was freed of that, then their concern is for what is that? The only anxiety of a devotee is the fact that others are in anxiety, paradukkha, that they have on their own account, no desires in this world, nothing to fulfill. Their only concern is the suffering of other living entities. Otherwise, they have nothing to do with this world. It's just like a dream. It's a passing phase. We're on a journey. We're passing by. Why become attached? My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I'm simply concerned with love for them. This is the heart of a pure devotee, even in distress. When Haridas Thakur was being whipped in the marketplaces, interesting, sometimes it's said that Haridas Thakur is Prahlad Maharaj, and the Lord himself sent his chakra in. Case of Haridas, very interesting. Sometimes it's said, as I said earlier, Lord Nrsingadeva, the chakra, they're the same potency, they're the same expansion in a sense, or at least the expansive mood of the Lord to protect his devotees. But even chakra was not able to do anything because Haridas Thakur's heart was so overflowing with love and compassion, even for those who were trying to kill him, that he didn't want them to be punished. He wanted them to be delivered. So Sudarshan was ready to come and slice them to shreds. But no, he was in this mood. Just like we see Prahlad Maharaj, even after the whole incident of the killing of his father, Nrsingadeva was appealing to him, please accept a boon. Ask for me anything you like. I'm so pleased with you because you asked for nothing. I want to give you something. You are completely selfless. Prahlad Maharaj said, this is not a business deal. I'm just satisfied with the opportunity to serve you and your devotees. That's my business. I'm your eternal servant. So he's the manifestation of the eternal service mode to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is the root of all devotion, you can say. But particularly that aspect of relationship with the Lord, one of service. So that same form of Prahlad Maharaj enters in that mood, that opulence of the Lord appeared in the form of Haridas Thakur when he was being beaten by the Lord. And that mood is saturated or is completely full of compassion for all of the living entities, knowing that everyone's the eternal servant of the Lord. They've just covered over. So the devotee just wants that covering to be removed. So Haridas wanted those coverings to be removed. And Sudarshan could do nothing to punish those miscreants. The Lord had to come himself. He personally came, just like he personally came for Prahlad Maharaj in the form of Nrsingadeva. So he came there also as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Haridas and protected him in terms of, you could say, even the suffering. Lord, it's very displeasing to the Lord, very painful to the Lord when he sees his devotees suffer unnecessarily as pure devotee. The devotee accepts it as mercy, but on the Lord's hand, he intervenes. So in this case, he intervened for Prahlad Maharaj. Why, you could say, why not earlier? Everything has its reason. It was just increasing the mood, increasing the exchange, giving us lessons to learn. We have to go through all these. We get, tempted by this, tempted by that, and we get tortured by this and tortured by that. And we just take shelter of the Lord, like Prahlad Maharaj, chanting the holy name. And then the time comes, the Lord will come and remove the curtain. My concern is only for the fools and rascals. I'm simply concerned for love for them. And the last one we're going to read here, I think. Maybe one or two more. My dear Lord Nrsingadeva, this is text number 44. I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Maunavrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. It's a very beautiful prayer. There are many prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, and his final one we're going to read here. Oh Lord, Prahlad Maharaj says, this is in chapter 10 actually. Oh my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desire. This is the mood of Prahlad. So this prayer is for everyone. Material desires are the cause of our repetitive bondage and suffering in this material world. We have to develop Krishna conscious desires. And by the mercy of Nrsingadev, these material desires can be destroyed within our heart. We can't remove them on our own. We can endeavor, do our best, but ultimately it depends on the mercy of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So our time is up, and we thank you very much. If there are any questions on whatever little was discussed today, well, I don't know, I'll try to share if I can. How does it work?
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Prabhu or Madhupati Prabhu, how does this work now? Do you speak the questions, if there are any? Or does it go on chat? Does it maybe it goes on chat?
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare, thank you. I'm sorry.
Or you can put in the chat.
Didn't go the way you wanted, probably, but anyway. Somebody learned something, I hope, or imbibed something there. I hope we're not all feeling like going out now to the pub and drowning our sorrows, or watching the TV or something like that, just to recover from the last hour or whatever it may be. I hope not. If it is like that, then I hope you all take serious shelter of chanting the holy name or studying Bhagavatam. So if that happens, that will be some benefit of my being with you for the last hour. If it helps you to,
There's a question. Which are the most important prayers to chant daily?
There's something on chat here. It's from Maharani. Maharani is off the coast of America. She is in Bermuda, a little island off the coast of America. She lives there. Really needs. How important it is. It's a simple question, very simple and very, very significant. Which are the most important Nrsingadev prayers to chant daily if we are pressed for time? Well, we have the ones Prabhupada gave us, of course, the standards, isn't it? Namaste, Narashinga, Palad, Dhyani. They're the most standard. And you can sing them anywhere. Let's face it, we can be walking along the road there. You can sing those. It's nice. Many of our acharyas have put the philosophy and put the prayers also into song. It's so much easier. And it's so much joy. We need a little bit we're not on that transcendental pleasure platform of experiencing the pleasure of Krishna exactly. We still do have these mixtures. So the Lord knows that. And he comes in various ways, making devotional service very pleasing. So you get great pleasure of singing. It's a fact. I mean, materially speaking, you see happy people, they're usually singing. Sad people maybe too, but their songs are usually a bit down and out, depressing almost. But it's happy. Devotional service is meant to be Tushanticha Ramanticha is happily performed. So in Kirtan, Prasadam, so many happy ways are there. And it's just a matter of changing our attitude towards them, that's all. Just takes some time. But it's meant to be joyfully performed, so you can joyfully sing Namaste prayers, as we call them. Other prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, I think you make your choice, whatever you wish. I chant Om Namo Bhagavate Narashinga Namaste. I'm chanting it forever, but I'm still attached to the material desires, so I suppose. I'm not chanting sincerely, but I like chanting that prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Narashinga Namaste, Tejase Avir Bhava Vajranaka Vajranaka Karmashan. And I often chant it in the bathroom when I'm taking a shower in the morning, or at that time of the day, start the day, and remembering Lord Nrsingadev. You choose whichever you like. I think there are many on the internet. It's good use of the social media. I think there are many lists of various prayers. You can go for the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj in the Bhagavatam 7th canto, read them and choose yourself. Because what happens is at certain stages of our growth in devotional service, different prayers become more relevant. They seem to take more relevance than others. Everything's like that as we grow. Different. It's not that the other one becomes irrelevant, but it's another one becomes more relevant at a different stage of our devotional service. Everything in devotional service has that nature. It's a progression, systematic progression according to the situation we're in. So according to the consciousness, we're on the level of our maturity. Different pastimes are more relevant too. Different aspects of the philosophy. We don't jump to the end of the Gita, for instance. We may be very much still involved in Karma Mishra Bhakti or mixed devotional service. So we take the third chapter of Gita, fifth chapter of Gita, various chapters which help us to, say, synthesize our materialistic attachments with the practice of devotional service and how to purify ourselves. The same in prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. They may be more relevant at different times. Some may always be relevant. They're always relevant, but some may be more, let's say, seem to be more specific at that time. So you choose. Whatever, if you have limited time, you choose the one which is relevant. Check them all out. Okay, here's another one from back on the mainland. When can our anarthas or self-centered aspects of our nature be dovetailed and transformed? When do they need to be discarded altogether? When would each approach or intention be suitable? Most things can be dovetailed. When they can be rejected is when we're ready, I guess, if they're necessary to reject. But the pathas of devotion, the Bandha Krishna Sambandha Uchate, is not to reject something that can be used. Most things can be used. It's a matter of how. And things which are unfavorable, especially at a particular point of time. I mean, pure devotees can practically use anything in Krishna service. They're not affected by it. So when things affect us in such a way that it, literally disturbs our enthusiasm, it disturbs our sadhana, then we need to question. You can inquire from other devotees around you who may know more about the details of the specific situation as to how to approach that. But most things can be dovetailed, even sexual desires, which of course are the biggest bondage in this world, can be purified by properly dovetailing the urges in a devotional way. It may take some time, but it can be done. So we lose our attraction for trying to enjoy sex in the material world, separate from trying to satisfy Krishna's desires. So they can be channeled. Other things, well, you have to see. It depends what they are, really. If one is smoking marijuana, or I hope you're not smoking marijuana still, but if you are, you might say, how is that possible to dovetail in the service of the Lord? Well, I don't want to get into details there, but it depends what level of advancement we're on. Everything is possible. But generally speaking, we give up these things, these four prohibitions, these four regulated principles. We try to avoid them. But at certain stages, even there, when Prabhupada was in San Francisco, and Jayananda Prabhu asked him how he can preach to the drunks, because Jayananda Prabhu was very compassionate devotee, and he would give everyone a chance to engage in service. And Prabhupada so simply, knowing that they can't give up their liquor just like that, or even if they do something else. He said, when they drink their liquor, just tell them to say, thank you, Krishna, for the taste in this wine or whatever liquor it is, and say, Hare Krishna. That's their dovetailing at that point of time. Depends what level we're on. Different things naturally are given up at certain levels. So usually in the association, the Lord in the heart sometimes, which always does, but sometimes we don't recognize it, but he'll inspire us also. And the association grows around us. The danger is to give things up when we're not ready to give them up. Imitation. That's where the importance of association is there, to help protect us from, prematurely either taking something on which we're not ready for, or giving something up which we're not ready to give up at this point of our progress. There's a moderation there, balance there. but with the intention of becoming free. We shouldn't be approaching the Lord, my Lord, I want to continue sinning. Please forgive me. Some people have this philosophy, but that's not the idea. We recognize we're repentant, a repentant feeling that we may have our, hangovers, etc., from previous past lifetimes or this lifetime. But we do sincerely, a devotee should sincerely repent for that, but may not yet be able to give it up. But there's a beautiful verse, I don't have it in front of me, in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, I can get it, 11th canto, chapter 20, I don't know the verse number, but where it talks about that my devotee, something like this, who has faith in me, but still maintains material attachments and so on and so forth. Anyway, I have to read the whole thing, I can't verbatim it, but continues to engage in my devotional service. Eventually, the Lord helps us to become freed of what is not favorable, like that. It's not like a mechanical thing that you've got a list of things, and at this point of time, after 2 years, 3 days, 15 minutes, and 10 seconds, you give up this. After 6 years, it doesn't work like that. It's when a living entity grows, it's natural. As a child growing naturally, it does no longer poop in its pants. Sometimes it happens because of other reasons, but usually a 15-year-old boy or girl is not pooping in the pants anymore. He doesn't wear nappies anymore. He gives it up, or various behavior patterns are changed as we grow. So naturally, as we grow, various things naturally, we don't even recognize there are anarthas in the beginning or unfavorable things, and neither does the spiritual master necessarily point it out because we're not ready for it. He encourages a child, yes, very good, well done, well done. You came top in the book marathon, all glories to you, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, what is that? Top. We're the bottom. We're the servant of the servant. But in the beginning, that recognition sometimes is required from them. Ultimately, we don't want recognition. We don't want all these things. But to encourage, sometimes the Lord, as I say, facilitates it. It'll come. And Dina. Anything else out there? Is that all from New York? You're intelligent people over there in America. We're not so intelligent over here. We should have lots of questions. Maybe you know all the answers. You don't need to ask a fool for any answers to the questions.
Dear devotees, anyone else has questions?
Just like now, we're having challenges in New Mark. Well, some of you may be aware of it. It's always a challenge. It's always and it's a favorable one in a sense because it's things which need to be done anyway. But the local authorities are now demanding that we have to fix up certain aspects of New Mayapur. Otherwise, they won't let us continue to operate as a public place of worship. So there's many things which have to be done. They're extremely expensive. And we don't know yet how we're going to get over it, but we're trying. There's lots of apparent obstacles on the path. So maybe it's another good chance to take shelter of Lord Nrsimhadev. We're not transcendental, so we take shelter of the Lord who appears in this world to help people like us who need help. We tend to make so many mistakes. We're very weak. So Lord Nrsimhadev is super powerful in comparison.
Amritanand Prabhu has a question, Maharaj.
Pardon?
Amritanand Prabhu has a question.
Anupam Prabhu has a question. Where is he? I don't see it.
From USA, Anil Shabbat.
There's many things. Where is your question? Is your question on the internet? I don't see it. If your question's on the internet, then I'll answer it.
Hare Krishna.
Kashipu mood. Is your God in this pillar?
Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance.
Please accept my humble. Please, everybody, please accept my humble obeisances if you're there. Thank you for being there. Hare Krishna. Yes, Anupam.
Amritananda.
Amritananda. Sorry, I couldn't hear clearly.
No
Amritananda Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Maharaj. First off, Maharaj, it's such a seeing you and hearing from you. that. And thank you so much for your time, Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is, we have so many pastimes of so many avatars, and each has a specific significance. So it's almost like a cookie cutter. If you need protection, you go to Narsinghadev. If you need this, you go to this particular avatar. You want to lead your life as an ideal householder, then it is go to Lord Rama. And what I'm feeling is, why not be just a devotee or trying to be a devotee? Why doesn't he or she just focus on, being the servant of the servant of the servant in Radharani's helping Radharani? So we go here and there looking at it, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, Maharaj, but to me it seems like cherry picking. That if I'm going on a
Not bad. They're pretty good cherries, though. They're not bad. They're very good cherries.
Yes, Maharaj. So if you could please help with this thought.
We read Shiva Maharaj mentioned in the beginning of that, that excerpt which I read anyway, that yes, if one has firm faith, if one's faith is pure, completely pure, then certainly there's no need of any other, you could say, endeavor. The holy name, everything is there. Because all the various forms of the Lord are also present there in the name of Krishna. But because our faith is not complete. So our acharyas who say servant of servant, servant, they themselves have given us this. And it's not that you have to be going here, there, and everywhere. Today I'm feeling a headache. Let me look up who I'm supposed to pray to, who I'm supposed to hear from. Oh, today I have a desire for sex life or something. Who will help me? It's not you have to go like that, no doubt. But we do study the Shastras under the direction of the pure devotees. This is you could say, practically speaking, the point. And if we're attentive very quickly, if we're sincerely attentive, then here in these pastimes does have this unique effect on preparing us so we have our real faith in pure bhakti awakens in our heart. So it is important that we go through, like in the Bhagavad Gita, many times we hear also, why are you reading Bhagavad Gita? That's for beginners. I'm what can I say? I'm not going to say anyone that's not a beginner, but generally we are beginners at some point of beginning something. We're at some stage of beginning, and in Bhagavad Gita, every stage. Even this morning, we were partially studying Mamana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru this morning, to be always engaged in thinking of the Lord. How you think of the Lord, that depends. But to be always thinking of the Lord. So I want to get too mental about it, have to go here, there, and everywhere, but because today's subject matter is Lord Nrsimhadev and Srila Prabhupada amongst all the avatars, let's face it, and Lord Chaitanya also amongst all the various forms, amongst all the avatars, for those aspiring for pure Shuddhanam Bhakti, Lord Nrsimhadev stands out as the most significant of all the expansions of the Lord. I personally don't have any doubt about that. And even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself emphasized the importance of Nrsimhadev in our devotional line, because yes, all the other various anarthas can be killed by Lord Nrsimhadev, and our real desire can awaken within our hearts. If there's some specific trouble which is really, really bothering us, we don't have strong faith, you can inquire about any particular thing. Sometimes devotees chant Nrsimha Kavachas, Narayan Kavachas, this thing, that thing, the prayers of Queen Kunti, and different things which attract us at a certain point of time. You don't have to force it. It should be more of a kind of natural thing. We hear them all, and it's a step by step. We may have to hear them 100,000 again and again and again, because we still haven't got it. We still haven't caught it. We're still stuck somewhere. So you read it again and again and again. And the Bhagavatam over and over and over and over. Eventually, we might catch it. We might catch it straight away. If your faith is absolute, you've caught it already. But it's to help us to really understand. It's not just a question of philosophy or sentiment. It's an attitude. It's our way our very heart itself. How we what is our mood, what is our motive, etc. Can change in a second, but it usually takes a while. And by reading over and over again, and this is the process. This is the process. But Lord Nrsingadev has a specific, I could say, aspect in our sadhana, in our devotional line. That's why his picture's on the altar. You generally don't see any other avatar pictures except for on specific days on the altar. But Lord Nrsingadev is always on the altar. He's always there. We chant his pranams every day. We don't do that for anyone else. Obviously, the Ishtadev of our temple we do, but I mean, other than that, Nrsingadev is the most prominent of all. If he can destroy all the various obstacles on our path, very significant form of the Lord. Very hard for people to understand, and even, well, I don't know. I guess devotees, I mean, it's quite unique. You're coming from a position where you're atheist. The next minute you're chanting. You're worshipping a half man, half lion incarnation of Godhead. It's quite an extreme, change. And Prabhupada even said one time why he appears in this form. One of the reasons is to convince the atheists that God does not exist, because there's no way that they're going to accept a half man, half lion. This is God. Are you crazy? This will convince me there is no God if you think God is like that. But for a devotee, it's remarkable how Lord Nrsingadev or Lord Jagannath, I'm looking at Subhadra on one of the screens here. And it's just remarkable how, how the Lord he's so clever, he's so funny, even so amazing. He appears in these various forms for obvious reasons, if you read the Shastras, no doubt. But still, from a mundane point of view, why? It's remarkable. Absolutely. Everyone's afraid of lion, a roaring lion with big teeth, big nails coming towards us. You'd be probably everyone of us would be scared if we were in a room faced with a huge, hungry lion, angry, hungry lion. We take shelter as taking shelter is like anything. You give shelter to anyone in your life. Do you feel, or somebody comes to you for shelter, you feel indebted to them. So shelter is their shelter from the material energy. I don't know. But I won't get too, don't become a cherry. Well, cherry picker is okay if you're just picking, transcendental cherries, that's fine. You will eventually find where you stand. There's nothing wrong with that. Both sides are fine if you have absolute faith in devotees and in chanting the holy names. But that will also include here in these pastimes. It will include glorifying Lord Nrsingadev. It will include feeling repentance. It will include all these things. Why does Bhakti Vinod write about it so much? Why are his songs full of the mood of many of them, of repentance and feeling incapable and begging for mercy in various ways? And because that mood needs to come up in order to cleanse her. It's called Anutapa. It cleanses our heart of all of these deep down, subtle, we don't even recognize it sometimes. Even the statement which you made, I'm probably complete with pure sincerity, it may be based upon our own idea of bhakti. It may not always be based upon the will of the Lord. It may be. So that can be, also has to be cleansed out until we come to the stage of Shuddha Bhakti, Shuddha Nan. Okay. Hare Krishna. I don't know how many more questions we can take. There's a few more.
Yeah. In the chat,
is here.
Where?
By hearing, I'll try to be quick with these. By hearing the glories of the wonderful deeds of some devotees, this is from France, regarding the service they do, sometimes feelings of envy arise in the heart. How to transform this destructive, isn't it? A common thing. Sometimes we become envious when someone's doing very well. We wish they weren't doing very well, or we hope they have some problems sometimes. I can speak from my own experience, you could say there. Well, what to do? This is a big anartha, very big anartha, which I could say, I suppose I'm a victim of this, very much so, very proud. It's a sign of pride. How do we kill pride? How do we remove pride? Well, prayer, try to serve that devotee, revealing of one's mind and confidence, studying shastras which are relevant to it, and intently praying that we'll become free of this. How did Raghunath Das describe this mentality? Was it the urine of an ass or something? I can't remember. one of his prayers. It's really, but it affects everyone, more or less. We really have to take shelter of the holy name, take shelter of the devotees, and pray that we not be overwhelmed. You can read the pastimes of the Lord, even of Krishna, Bhagavatam, different pastimes where these manifestations of this wanting to see everyone down. The Dhanakasura, for instance, how he was in that mood. He was in the mood, didn't want anyone else to taste those fruits in that forest of Talavan. He wasn't even tasting them himself, but he was so greedy, self-centered like that. Pained when someone else would try to take those fruits. I think other demons were probably even better examples of that. But here in the killing of the pastimes, trying to reflect on it, seeing it, apply it to ourselves, a little self-reflection there. Understand it also when devotees are making advancement is very good fortune. If we get their association, we may be also advanced. Look at it positively. It's great they're advancing because now I have their association, they're advancing. And I can also, by their association, have more of a chance to advance. When an intelligent verse, which you refer to, is this the verse? I don't know what we're talking about here. Oh, here it is. 11th canto. When an intelligent person engages constantly in worshiping me, through bhakti is previously detached. No, it's not. If you bring the 11th canto from there, Gora, has it got the 11th canto, chapter 20 up there? I think it's chapter 20. I might be able to find it. Pardon? You have the 11th canto, Rohini?
So I don't know which one. Is there only one?
Chapter 20. There are 5 parts.
Is there a keyboard mark that I can?
No, you just give me the book, chapter 20.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you won't be able to find it.
I think it's 5 parts.
I have the whole verse if there's a keyword to search.
Faith.
Hmm?
Faith.
Okay.
But that's probably 101 references to faith in the 11th canto. It's a great verse. I tell you, I was having problems in my spiritual life many, many years ago. Okay, here's one. That's well done. That's maybe it. Can I put it the other way around? Will it go the other way around? Okay, I don't know what verse number it is. Does it tell us? What chapter is this? What chapter? It is chapter 20, isn't it? Chapter 20, 11th canto, text 8. Is that the one you've got up there? No, it's not. Okay, this is 11:28. If someone other, by good fortune, one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person, being neither disgusted with nor very much attached to material life. I don't understand it.
Yes, Maharaj, that's the verse I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the complete translation now.
Jata Shraddha Mat Katadayo Na Nirvinno Na Atisekto. Is that the verse you're looking?
Yeah, that's the one. But it seems there's a word missing something here.
The Lord Krishna is speaking, yeah.
Being neither disgusted with nor very much attached to material life. It's one of them. This isn't the one I was thoroughly looking for. Through the path of loving devotion. Should achieve perfection, yes. If someone other by good fortune one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person. This isn't the one I was exactly
Yeah, see
looking
which
for.
one you're
Yeah.
speaking about. I've read it recently.
Yeah.
I can, yeah. I don't know.
It's somewhere in that
keyword.
area. Anyway, I could have to look again, wouldn't we? Yeah, somewhere around here. It's such a nice verse. Anyway, I'll just mention that when I was going through some difficulties, we're always going through difficulty in one sense, but some years ago, my godbrother Bhakti Maharaj, because it was when 11th canto was, of course, one of the last ones to be translated, and or later ones, not last, but one of the later ones. And he sent me these verses to encourage me. And it really helped. It helped a lot when we come across verses that are relevant to a particular state that we're in at that time. That's why you can't exactly, give, it's not totally mechanical. Anyway, maybe you can find different verses like that. I can't find it right now, but that was one related one we just heard, of course. Yeah, this is another one. When an intelligent person engages constantly in worshipping me through bhakti, as previously described by me, all material desires within the heart are destroyed, since I'm situated in the heart. So does your devotee remain attacked by enjoyment in the material world? No, I don't know what this. This is someone commenting on the Bhagavatam. No, this is explained 2 verses. It's already been said. Shudamata Katyasa May. He has firm faith in the blissful narration of my sweetest pastime and constant chanting of my glories. 11, 19, 20. Maybe it's the 19th chapter then. Worshipping me by this process of bhakti which I have described, my devotee destroys all the desires in his heart. Since I'm situated there, I'm situated. If I'm situated there, the sins cannot remain situated there. Just as if the sun shines, darkness cannot remain. Interesting.
Knowing that all
Yeah,
sense
here it is.
gratification leads to
That's
misery.
it.
Yeah,
This
that's
is,
the one.
here it is. What verse is this?
27, 28? Same chapter.
Same chapter. Okay, 20th chapter, verse 27, 28. If you, this is the one that 27, 28. These are the ones I remember.
Yes, that's right.
Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction, even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment. My devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. And the purport is generally taken from our Acharya's commentaries, although compiled by Hridayananda Maharaj and other devotees. The beginning stage of pure devotional service is described here by the Lord. A sincere devotee has practically seen that all material activities lead only to sense gratification, and all sense gratification leads only to misery. Thus, a devotee's sincere desire is to engage 24 hours a day in the loving service of Lord Krishna without any personal motivation. The devotee sincerely desires to be established in his constitutional position as the Lord's eternal servitor, and he prays to the Lord to elevate him to this exalted position. The word anishvar indicates that because of one's past sinful activities and bad habits, one may not immediately be able to completely extinguish the enjoying spirit. The Lord here encourages such a devotee not to be overly depressed or morose, but to remain enthusiastic and to go on with his loving service. The word nirvana indicates that a sincere devotee, although somewhat entangled in the remnants of sense gratification, is completely disgusted with material life, under no circumstances willingly commits sinful activity. In fact, he avoids every kind of material activity. The word kaman basically refers to sex attraction and its byproducts in the form of children, home, and so forth. Within the material world, the sex impulse is so strong that even a sincere candidate in the loving service of the Lord may sometimes be disturbed by sex attraction or by lingering sentiments for wife and children, because we're going to a little higher platform here. A pure devotee certainly feels spiritual affection for all living entities, including so-called wife and children, but he knows that material bodily attractions lead to no good, but simply entangles one and one's so-called relatives in a miserable chain reaction of fruitive activity. The word dridnishchaya, steadfast conviction, indicates that in any circumstance, a devotee is completely determined to go on with his prescribed duties for Krishna. Thus he thinks, by my previous shameful life, my heart is polluted with many illusory attachments. Personally, I have no power to stop them. Only Lord Krishna within my heart can remove such inauspicious contamination. Whether the Lord removes such attachments immediately or lets me go on being afflicted by them, I will never give up my devotional service to him, even if the Lord places millions of obstacles in my path. And even if, because of my offenses, I go to hell, I will never for a moment stop serving Lord Krishna. I'm not interested in mental speculation and fruitive activity. It's kind of a meditation, this, because we may still be attracted, but this helps to solidify us with the correct attitude in dealing with whatever attachments we have, whatever shortcomings we may have, you could say. Even if Lord Brahma personally comes before me offering such engagements, I will not be even slightly interested. Although I'm attached to material things, I can see very clearly they lead to no good because they simply give me trouble and disturb my devotional service. Anyway, you'll have to read the rest of the purport. what was it again? 11, 20, 20, what? 27? 27, 28. You can go through it. I mean, it may help. It can apply at every grade. It's not like only those who are at that's a little advanced stage of the neophyte platform, where one, has already recognized it. Even things like attachment to family and so on, ultimately we realize are bondage in this world. But one can go beyond that also, but we may not be on that level. But the same thing is whatever level we're on, continue with our devotional service. Try to be enthusiastic. Try to associate with devotees. Feel somewhat. Try to be a mentality of repentant feeling, understanding this does lead to our suffering, the reason why we're repentant. So we're going to finish there. Thank you very much for your kind association. And we hope to see you all again soon. Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Namo Namaha Shri Bhagavan Ki Jai. Is that okay, Krishna Nam Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Wonderful class.
Thank you for your association. Wish you all the best there in New York, wherever you're from. Some devotees are in France. Some devotees in different parts of the world are with us. In Bermuda and probably a few other countries too. I wish you all the very best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The holy name takes Shadar Lord Sringadev to protect us from bad association, protect us from falling victim to our past conditionings or the conditionings of others. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Premanandi.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon here, Maharaj, in Central New Jersey, maybe in October.
Come over to New Mayapur. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna.
Quick announcements. Your Sunday feast program today evening. His Grace Radhe Shyam Prabhu is giving class. Join 5:30 onwards. Temple program starts. And June 11th is New York Rath Yatra. Please reserve your seats for the bus soon before it gets filled up. June 11th. Then June 14th, Tuesday, is Lord Jagannath's Snan Yatra, very, very important, auspicious festival, Lord Jagannath's birthday. Please join us at temple. We'll be celebrating in the evening. And then July 2nd, Friday, actual day, Puri Rath Yatra, and then Atlantic City Rath Yatra. I think July 1st is the Puri Rath Yatra, July 2nd is Atlantic City Rath Yatra. So please join us for the wonderful festivals coming up. This whole month we'll be discussing Lord Jagannath Katha on Zoom. So please join. See you all in the evening at temple. Thank you. Hare Krishna. For this purpose. Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Hare Krishna. Radhe Radhe.